Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and today we're back with another Honkai style risk analysis series that we do on this channel. We're going to be talking whether it's actually possible to power creep Luocha, a support healer, and for those of us who are not too familiar with turn-based games power creeping mechanics, generally speaking, your supportive characters like Luocha, Japad, Bailu and stuff and etc. are much more easier to power creep than maybe more DPS oriented characters like Himiko, Jingyuan, Zila for example, and the like. This is the case for majority of the genre, the turn-based game RPG genre, gacha games as well in general, and this is what we notice across the trend. Now I want to talk first about Luocha and why I think firstly he's not going to be easy to power creep, and towards the end I'll also be telling us some risks and very important things to consider as well. Now first things first, a character is only power creepable if they were to be meta in the first place. If they aren't even meta, it doesn't really matter whether a character that is released is better than them because they weren't even the best in what they did in the first place. And I just want to do a very short commentary for those of us who are wondering my thoughts on this character. I think that probably in version 1.1 out of all the characters that we have in the game so far, as you can see I have most characters at level 70 as well, he is, in my opinion, the best character in the game. He's the closest thing to perfection and the closest thing to a complete character, or what I expect of a complete character. Let me explain why before I go into why naturally I think power creep is a big concern for this character and some things that he don't cover, which I think is a big point to consider as well. This character is the complete character. Why do I say that? He has his ultimate ability, he has AoE damage, which means that he's able to AoE imaginary attack their toughness of the enemies as well, good amounts of damage, and he removes buff. So he has buff removal. In his skill ability here, he also is able to cleanse and is able to heal up one ally. Together with his talent ability, he's also able to auto-proc healing when the characters are less than 50% of HP, meaning he works very well with like destruction characters or any character that for example, maybe got attacked and targeted, heals them up very quickly, removes their debuff like any DOT that they have, like you know those short debuffs on the character, removes all of that. Very fantastic as well. And he also has this feel that you get to sustain your entire team. How the feel works is once the feel is procced, basically any character that attacks, you will heal across the board everyone equally, meaning he's a pretty offensive healer as well. Very, very fantastic at E0 even. Many free to play light cones you can use, time waits for no one, you can use post-op, you can use perfect timing, and you can use quid pro quo as well. He is also pretty interesting because he also has in his major traits ability to resist crowd control debuff by 70%. This is super massive, and on top of that, if you stack like effect resistance, he really becomes this like a shield for the team, because if he can't get debuff at all, you will just constantly be pumping out cleansers in your whole team, healing in your whole team, sustain and stuff like that. Very, very solid and what you would expect from a healer. But not only that, he scales off with attack as well. So if you build him, like for me I have a modest amount of attack here, but if you build him for a little bit more attack, maybe your stats are much more geared offensively, he also not only has more healing but also starts dealing a lot more damage for the team, meaning that out of the 4 slots that you have, let's go into the team menu real quick. For example, this team that I have, your defensive role here, out of the 4 of them, which is usually your abundance character, now becomes another avenue for damage. Meaning that your damage distribution graph, if they were to be plotted on the chart, would be like Yuko might be here, Zila might be up here, Pella is like up here as well, and then now Luocha, a healer would normally be very low, but now Luocha is like somewhere around here, which is a significant improvement to the overall team dynamics and DPS as well. Which is why I think like these aspects of defense, offense, as well as covering a lot of grounds, makes him really a very, very solid character in my opinion already as well. But not only that, if you guys play this game all the way, maybe like 2 years, 3 years down the road, some of you might be seeing multiple rerun banners for this character, and you probably will be able to get his own signature light cone, which like increases speed of your whole team also. That gives him also a speed buffing element. And if you have Eidolons, for example, E1 is an attack buff to the whole team, E2 he can provide shielding or increase healing, E4 he basically reduces enemies damage, which means like he's a debuffer now also, which is crazy if you think about it. And last but not least, he also can debuff enemies at E6 when you reduce enemy rest. Of course, not everyone has E6, but if you are a whale and you're thinking of a character to E6, if I could redo it all over again, I would actually want to switch my whole E6 Zila over to Luocha. I think this character will stand the test of time in that sense, will be a very relevant character for the long run. So now that we've said so many good things about him, I don't get commission from Hoyoverse, but I really do think that he's a very solid character, probably in my opinion, the best E6 in the game for now, and for moments to come and months to come as well. And that's my personal bias, I just want to put it out there. The question then comes is he power creepable, or is he almighty and is it impossible to power creep him? I think he is possible to power creep by one circumstance, and for those of you who maybe play other turn-based games, there is this turn-based game called Epic 7, which characters the healer role. For example, a crossover between Epic 7 as well as some other game, I can't really remember, or anime, which is there's this character that buffs attack of the character as well as pushes them up. So you kind of like combine, in my opinion, like Natasha's kit together with Bronya's kit. And that is a prime example of a character that is able to power creep Luocha. Because Luocha is not as fast, as he can't tap on certain characters and push them up to boost your DPS up. But if you have a character that combines, for example, Bronya together with Natasha, which a lot of turn-based games do like to do that, like they like their healer to also have attack buffing, speed buffing, or turn-based manipulation. In that case, I think definitely Luocha is going to see a little bit of backseat despite his versatility, because a much more offensive healer that can utilize your main DPS strengths and push them even higher will be very, very solid as well. Will this character come into play very soon? I'm not too sure. It's always a possibility if they want to like increase monetization, they want to sell a new healer as well. I think it's a good possibility, but for now and maybe the next 6 months, I don't think it's any threat to him as well. But that is one aspect, and it has already been done in other games. Very common also to have your defensive healer role be a turn-based manipulator. So that is one of the red flags I want to point out to you as well, something that we can consider as a huge risk. The second thing that I want to talk about is not really in the aspect of power creeping, but alternatives. Right now, Luocha's value is very, very high because the only other characters that we have as alternatives to him really are like Bailu, Japat, Natasha. So we have 4 options right now, and out of these 4 options, these 2 are kind of RNG. You either have them or don't have them, and even if you want them, you have to get all the way up to like 300 standard tickets to guarantee them on the standard banner choice coupon. This means that a lot of people, or right now, Luocha is at his peak in terms of desirability, because the only alternative that we currently have is Natasha, and for the Memory of Chaos, a lot of us feel much more comfortable running 2 healers right now to push further. And that is something that I think as most people should know and need to reflect on. I think I use the analogy of comparing him to a Genshin character like Kokomi, who for the benefit of those of you who don't play Genshin, she's a character that is a healer when she was released. Not very popular at the time because healing wasn't very meta, but she was a character that does everything, and sooner or later the community recognized that Kokomi was a very strong character because you just need to put her in the team and any other character will just fall in line and you can basically form very easy teams too. Luocha is similar to Kokomi in the sense that he's a character that can do a lot all at once. You put him in a team, can fill all that roles, but the biggest thing about him is he isn't coming from a low base. He's not unpopular and everyone knows he's good, and I think when you have high expectations of characters right now and expecting them to continue to do so in future, this is when like risk analysis is very important to look at characters and know how they might actually tend over the longer period of time. In my opinion, bottom line, I think he's a solid character, best character right now as of 1.1, but he is not unfollowable, and those thoughts that I have, for example, maybe a new 4-star healer coming out like Lynx, who we just did a thought video. If you're interested, you can check it out on the channel as well. But definitely alternatives, and for example, a healer that could buff turn-based manipulation is the biggest risk to this character, in my opinion. But either way, we still need 2 for the Memory of Chaos, and that's just my thoughts. Check out these 2 other videos if you appreciate such content. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.